Cherargei, what is your intervention?
Mr. Speaker, so that we dispense of this matter and also for posterity, because traditions and precedent are important, I raise under Article 75 on the conduct of state officers, Mr. Speaker, and I beg to read, and I shall be very quick. A state officer shall behave, whether in public, an official, in private life, or in association with other persons, in a manner that avoids any conflict between personal interests and public or official duties, compromising any public or official interest in favor of a personal interest. So, Speaker, I invite you also to look at our standing orders, just in quick succession of standing order number 252 on attendance before the National Assembly and reverse. So, Speaker, Mheshimiwa Silvanus Osoro is a member of Parliament of South Mugirango, where the Deputy Governor is facing impeachment allegations. Number 2 is the Majority Chief Whip in the National Assembly, Mr. Speaker. So my concern, in as much as I'm aware of Article 50, but you must interpret the Constitution, both Article 50 and Article 73, Mr. Speaker. I'm aware Deputy Governor Monda is allowed to have a legal representative of his own choice. Mr. Speaker, is it in order for my brother Mheshimiwa Silvanus Osoro, the MP of South Mugirango, to appear on behalf of Robert Monda, the Deputy Governor? 1, because he's a state officer, and 2, of conflict of interest that he might send a mixed signals that he is a chief whip of the majority side in the National Assembly. And number 3, whether, looking at standing order 252, whether the procedure of ensuring him appears before the Senate, not only as an advocate, but also as a member of Parliament. Mr. McHugh, under Article 93, member of Parliament is both a senator and a member of National Assembly. Mr. Speaker, some of us who are learned friends would have wished to appear on behalf of either sides. If we allow Honorable Osoro to appear, it means as a member of Parliament, as defined under Article 93 of the Constitution, we can also appear on behalf of either sides that are bringing impeachment motions, Mr. Speaker. And number 2, and finally, it is in the public domain, and this will be my conclusion, that the governor of Kisii, Mheshimiwa Simba Arati, and Honorable Silvanus Osoro have had a public altercation. Mr. Speaker, I beg that we should not use Senate as a playground of local politics of what is happening in Kisii, Mr. Speaker. Could it be Senator Osoro, Honorable Osoro, and Simba Governor Arati extending their playful political ground to the Republic of Senate, Mr. Speaker, where we are here only to listen to charges that have the basis of evidence and can stand the test of legal and constitutional and standing orders, Mr. Speaker. So I beg that you rule that Honorable Osoro should relinquish himself from representing Honorable Monda, go back to his house business in the National Assembly, and serve our party, the UDA and Kenya Kwanza majority national. He is the chief whip. We might lose some of the bills at the National Assembly, while Mheshimiwa Osoro is busy representing for personal, financial, gainful, and propelling his professional at the expense of the position that we gave him in the National Assembly, Mr. Speaker. So I beg your ruling, and Senator Osoro should go back to serve the people of South Mugirango and members of National Assembly, Mr. Speaker, and allow this House to proceed. And I know Senior Counsel Katwa, Kigen, and the other retinue of colleague learned can do their job well, Mr. Speaker. So I request that on PO, let Mheshimiwa Osoro, there is no problem. They can still continue fighting with Governor Arati in funerals in Kisii, but not in this House. I submit, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Now, yes, Senator Boni. Thank you.
I hope it's a new matter altogether, not related to what has already been raised.
Mr. Speaker.
Is it something new, Senator Boni?
Yes.
Proceed.
It is new to the extent that he has raised 4 things upon which you should rule. Mr. Speaker, I'm inviting you again to consider ruling on a 5th thing, namely that whereas this is the Senate, but in this chamber this morning and for the next 2 days, Mr. Speaker, we have converted ourselves into a trial chamber. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, any member of parliament seated in this chamber is seated here as a judge to what's going on. Mr. Speaker, the invitation I'm asking you to make is that if you allow the Honorable Osoro to then sit in this house and do something other than what a member of parliament is supposed to do in a trial chamber, is it not, Mr. Speaker, tantamount to having a sitting of the High Court, for example, where a judge who would have sat on that matter then jumps and becomes an advocate in the same court, Mr. Speaker? And Mr. Speaker, because we are now going to be setting a precedent, we request you to consider this issue long and hard, because we have some very eminent lawyers in the National Assembly and this Parliament who will then start abusing this to the extent that it will be the disadvantage to the impeachment process. I thank you.
Senator Sifuna.
Thank you, Honorable Senator. First of all, I join...
Is it on the issue of...
no, it's a separate issue.
It's on the issue of Honorable Osoro?
I want to go on record, Mr. Speaker, as supporting to the positions taken by the 2 senators. But I wanted to, with your very great indulgence, Mr. Speaker, because one of the parties has asked us to make a decision on a matter, I was hoping, Mr. Speaker, I could find some clarification on the understanding of the rules of the procedure for this particular process. Mr. Speaker, allow me to find out from the advocate for the deputy governor whether in their understanding there is a distinction between evidence and an allegation. Because my understanding of the standing orders, at least as I have read them, is that for as long as there is evidence supporting an allegation that was present in the county assembly. And I'll give a very specific example. If you're being accused of, say, corruption, is it possible that if there are 10 pieces of evidence and 7 are used in the county assembly, is it possible, or is it their position that the remaining 3 pieces of evidence supporting the same allegation that was present in the county assembly cannot be presented before the Senate? That is the question I want them to answer for me as I ponder what to do with their objection. And number 2, whether it is their understanding that a public participation is a evidence collection forum. Because in my view, Mr. Speaker, when you go for public participation, you are presenting the case against the deputy governor as framed in the county assembly for the public to engage with that case. So that if I'm being accused of corruption, and that is what goes to public participation, is it possible that other people, upon hearing those allegations, might also say, I was also a victim? And then, what in their understanding are we supposed to do with that material? I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Council.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.